A German Shepherd can learn a new command in 5 repetitions. 5. Not 50, not 500, 5 clean repetitions, and it has the behavior filed away in its head, ready to use. That sounds like a dream, doesn't it? That sounds like the easiest dog you could ever own. Here's the problem. That same brain that learns your command in 5 repetitions is also learning everything else in 5 repetitions. It's learning that barking makes you get up off the couch. It's learning that the leash means you tense your shoulders. It's learning which drawer the treats live in, what time you usually leave, what your car keys sound like, and exactly how long you'll tolerate whining before you cave. You think you're training the dog. The dog is training you too, and it's often faster at it than you are. This is the thing nobody warns you about when they sell you on how smart German Shepherds are. Everybody talks about the intelligence like it's a feature, like it's a selling point. Number 3 on every smartest breeds list: the police dog, the military dog, the search and rescue dog, the dog that seems to understand you before you finish the sentence. Nobody tells you that intelligence in a dog is not the same as intelligence in a person. Intelligence in a dog is a demand. It is a need that has to be met every single day, or it turns on you. By the end of this, you're going to understand something about German Shepherds that most people only figure out after months of frustration. After the chewed baseboards and the neighbor complaints and the vet visits for a dog that hurt itself out of pure boredom. You're going to understand why the smartest dog in the room is often the hardest dog to live with. And you're going to understand what it actually takes to keep a mind like that satisfied. Let's get into it. Here's the picture people have in their heads before they bring one home. They imagine a dog that just gets it. A dog that follows them around the house, learns the rules once, and settles into the rhythm of the family. They picture a loyal shadow lying at their feet while they work. A dog that walks perfectly on the leash because, well, it's smart, right? Smart dogs behave. Smart dogs are easy. They've seen the videos. The shepherd that opens the fridge and brings back a drink. The shepherd that puts its toys away in a basket on command. The shepherd that does the obstacle course flawlessly while the crowd cheers. What they don't see is the 2 hours of work behind every one of those clips. What they don't see is that the dog in that video is not calm because it's smart. It's calm because someone spent months giving that brain a job big enough to tire it out. So they bring the puppy home. Big ears, clumsy paws, that soft look in the eyes that melts you the first night. And for a few weeks, it's mostly what they imagined. The puppy sleeps a lot. It's small enough to manage. The intelligence shows up in cute ways. The way it figures out the stairs, the way it recognizes its name in 2 days. Then it hits about 4 months old, and the mind wakes up. Suddenly, the dog isn't just reacting to the world, it's studying it. It's watching you cross the room and calculating whether you're headed for the door. It's testing what happens when it puts its teeth on the coffee table leg while looking directly at you. It's not being bad, it's running experiments. That's what a working brain does when it has nothing assigned to it. It generates its own projects. And this is where the gap opens up. The gap between the dog they imagined and the dog standing in their kitchen at 7 in the morning, staring at them, waiting. Not for food, for something to do. You come home from a long day. You're tired, you want to sit down. And there it is at the doorway, watching you with that focused, unblinking attention, and you can feel it. The pressure, the unspoken question. What are we doing now? You sit down anyway. You tell yourself the dog can just relax. 10 minutes later, there's a shoe in the middle of the floor with the sole chewed halfway off. Or the dog is pacing, circles around the living room, past the couch, past the window, past you, and back again. Or it's found the one loose thread on the rug and it's methodically pulling the whole thing apart. You didn't get a lazy dog. You got a genius with no job. And a genius with no job becomes a problem with 4 legs. That's the cost of not knowing. Not knowing means you brought home the most trainable dog on earth and left its brain empty. And an empty brain in a breed like this doesn't stay empty. It fills itself with barking, with destruction, with anxiety, with behaviors that spiral until you're standing in your own hallway wondering what went wrong with the dog everyone told you was so smart. Nothing went wrong with the dog. The dog is doing exactly what it was built to do. You just weren't ready for what smart actually means. Let me tell you the first hard truth, and it's the one that flips everything you thought you knew. A tired body is not a tired mind. And with this breed, the mind is the part that matters most. People hear German Shepherd and they hear high energy, and they think the answer is exercise. So they run the dog. They throw the ball until their arm aches. They take it to the park, let it sprint until its tongue is hanging out the side of its mouth, bring it home sweaty and panting, and they think, good, that'll settle it. An hour later, the dog is up again, restless, nosing at the door, bringing you toys, barking at a sound 3 houses down. You just physically exhausted your dog, and it still won't relax. And that confuses people, deeply, because it goes against everything they assumed. Here's what's actually happening. You built this breed to work with its brain for hours at a time. A herding dog on a hillside isn't just running. It's constantly reading the flock, anticipating movement, making decisions, adjusting, thinking. The running was never the point. The thinking was the point. The body was just the tool the brain used. So when you only exercise the body, you're servicing the wrong part of the dog. You're changing the oil and ignoring the engine. A German Shepherd can be physically tired and mentally wide awake at the same time. And a mentally wide-awake shepherd in a quiet house is one of the most restless creatures you will ever share a room with. Let me give you what this looks like in real life. You've got the dog that gets a 2-mile walk every morning and still shreds the couch cushions by noon. The owner is baffled. But I walk him every single day. Yes, and the walk was easy for that brain. Same route, same smells, no decisions. The dog did it on autopilot and came home with a full tank of mental energy and nowhere to put it. Then you've got the adolescent, around 10 months, who's been to the dog park every afternoon for a week, physically fit, lean, and pacing the kitchen at night like a caged animal, whining at nothing, unable to lie down for more than 90 seconds. The body did its miles, the mind never clocked in. And then there's the one that breaks people's hearts. The dog that starts licking its own leg, over and over, same spot, until there's a bald patch and then a raw sore. The vet calls it a lick granuloma, and half the time the root cause is a brain with nothing to chew on. So it turned inward and made its own repetitive job out of its own body. That's what an unstimulated working mind does. It finds a task, even if the task is destroying itself. So what does it actually cost you day to day? It costs you the assumption that a walk is enough. It's not for this breed. You're going to need to add mental work on top of the physical work, and that's real time out of your day. Scent games where you hide food around the house and make the dog find it. Training sessions that teach new behaviors, not just review old ones. Puzzle feeders instead of a bowl. Tasks, jobs, things that force the dog to think and solve and decide. 10 minutes of hard mental work can drain a shepherd more than an hour of fetch. That's the secret nobody hands you at the breeder's door. And here's the emotional turn. The moment it clicks for people is usually the moment they stop asking, "How do I tire this dog out?" and start asking, "How do I give this dog a job?" Because the day you teach your shepherd to actually use its brain in a way you control, something shifts. The pacing stops, the dog lies down, and it looks at you differently, settled, fulfilled, like something inside it finally got fed. You were trying to empty the dog. What it needed was to be filled. And that's the hard truth. You can walk a German Shepherd until your legs give out, and if you never touch the mind, you'll still come home to a dog that's climbing the walls. Which brings me straight to the second truth, and this one catches even experienced dog people off guard. Your German Shepherd is always watching you. always learning, even when you think nothing is happening. Most dogs live in the moment. Your shepherd lives in the pattern. It's constantly building a map of your life, and it's far more detailed than you realize. It knows the difference between your work shoes and your weekend shoes, and it knows which pair means you're leaving for 8 hours. It knows the specific sound of your alarm versus your phone ringing. It knows that when you pick up your keys and your bag at the same time, that's the real goodbye. But keys alone means you're just going to the car for something. You didn't teach it any of this. It taught itself. Because that brain runs constantly in the background, cataloging cause and effect, filing away every pattern it can find. And here's the part that catches people. It's not just learning the good things, it's learning everything, including the accidents, including the habits you didn't mean to build. Let me show you how this plays out. You've got a dog that whines a little at the back door. First time, you let it out, no big deal. But your shepherd noticed something. Whine, door opens. It ran the experiment twice more that day and confirmed the result. Now, 3 weeks later, the dog whines constantly, at all hours, for everything. Because you accidentally taught it that whining is a lever that controls the humans. You didn't sign up for a lesson, you gave one anyway. Or here's a classic. The dog jumps on you when you come home. You're happy to see it too, so you pet it, you talk to it, you make a fuss. What did the dog learn? Jumping produces affection. Now it jumps on your grandmother, on your kids, on the delivery driver, on anyone who walks through the door, and you're wondering why it won't stop. It won't stop because it worked. It's working right now. You rewarded it every time and never realized you were teaching a lesson at all. And then there's the one that really unsettles people. The reactive dog. You're on a walk, another dog appears, and your shepherd tenses. You tense too, right down the leash and into your hands. That little tightening of the fingers. And your dog feels it instantly. It reads your body better than you read your own. So now your tension becomes part of the pattern. Other dog equals tight leash, equals my human is worried, equals I should be worried too. And the reactivity gets worse, and you blame the dog, when half of what the dog learned, it learned from you. That sounds small. It is not. Because this constant learning means you don't get to be lazy with your behavior around this breed. Every interaction is a repetition. Every consequence you accidentally deliver is a lesson filed away. With a less intelligent dog, you get some slack. Sloppy handling washes out because the dog isn't tracking it closely. With a shepherd, there is no slack. It catches everything, it remembers everything, and it acts on everything. The daily cost here is a kind of self-awareness most dog owners never have to develop. You have to become conscious of what you're rewarding. You have to notice when you're accidentally reinforcing the very thing you're trying to stop. You have to be consistent, because this dog will find the 1 time out of 10 that you cave, and it will bet everything on that 1 time. Ask any shepherd owner who caved on the whining once at 2 a.m. They'll tell you, the dog never forgot. It'll try again at 2 a.m. tonight, because it knows the odds are worth it. And here's the emotional weight of it. This intelligence means your dog is bonded to you in a way that's almost uncomfortable. It's studying you because you are the center of its entire world. Every pattern it maps is a pattern about you. That's overwhelming when you realize it. This creature is watching the door for you to come home, tracking your moods, learning your rhythms. It knows when you're sad before you've said a word because it read the change in how you moved across the room. That's the gift and the burden in the same package. You are never off duty with a mind that's always studying you. And that brings me to the one that surprises people most. A bored German Shepherd doesn't just get restless, it gets creative, and you will not like what it invents. This is where the intelligence stops being cute and starts costing you money. A less clever dog, when it's bored, might chew a shoe or sleep it off. A German Shepherd, when it's bored, engineers solutions. It runs projects. It sets goals and figures out how to reach them. And with nothing productive to aim all that at, it aims it at your house. Let me paint you the real scenes. There's the dog that learned to open the pantry. Not by accident. It watched you do it 100 times, filed away the motion of the handle, and one afternoon, when you were out, it reproduced the whole sequence, got the door open, and had a very good day at your expense. You came home to torn bags and a dog with a guilty look and a very full stomach. And a phone call to the emergency vet because it ate something it shouldn't have. And now you're looking at a bill that could have bought a month of dog food. There's the escape artist. The shepherd that studied the latch on the back gate for weeks, watching how it lifted, and then one day, just did it. Popped it open with its nose and its paw and let itself out. Now you've got a loose dog in the neighborhood, panicked calls, and a growing fear every time you leave the house that today's the day gets out onto the road. There's the dog that figured out the crate. You thought the crate was secure. This dog studied the door mechanism, learned to manipulate the latch with its teeth, and now escapes every time you leave. And you come home to a dog roaming free and a crate that cost you good money doing nothing. These aren't horror stories to scare you. These are Tuesday for a shepherd owner who didn't give the brain a real job. The intelligence doesn't switch off when you leave for work. It's still running. It's still solving problems. The only question is whether the problems it solves are ones you assigned or ones it invented to fill the empty hours. Here's the practical reality that comes with this. You cannot out-secure a bored shepherd forever. You can buy the escape-proof crate, the child-proof latches, the bins with locking lids, and for a while, it works. But you're playing defense against an opponent that has all day to think and nothing better to do. Eventually, it finds the weakness you missed. The only real solution isn't a better lock. It's a busier brain. And that costs you the second thing people underestimate. It costs you planning. You can't just leave this dog for 9 hours with a bowl of water and expect to come home to peace. You have to think about what its mind is going to do with all that time. A frozen food puzzle that takes an hour to work through. A safe chew that demands real effort. A midday break, a dog walker, someone to interrupt the long, empty stretch. You have to manage the intelligence like it's a responsibility, because it is one. And there's an emotional layer here that hurts to sit with. A lot of the destruction people blame on a bad dog is really a cry from a good dog.
That dog didn't tear the doorframe apart out of spite. It did it because it was alone and anxious, and its brain was screaming for something to do, and the only tool it had was its own body against your house. Separation anxiety and boredom braid together in this breed, and the smarter the dog, the harder it spirals. I've watched owners go from furious to heartbroken in the space of one honest conversation. From, "Why does my dog keep destroying everything?" to, "Oh no, he wasn't being bad, he was suffering." That's the turn. That's the moment the whole picture changes. Because a destructive shepherd is almost never a bad dog. It's an underemployed one. And that leads us to something even harder to hear. This breed will find the holes in your leadership faster than you can patch them. People love to argue about training words. Forget the vocabulary for a second. Here's what actually matters. A German Shepherd is constantly testing the structure of its world to find out where the edges are, where the rules bend, where the no turns into, well, maybe. And when it finds a soft spot, it pushes. Not out of dominance in some dramatic sense, out of pure intelligence. It's mapping the boundaries the same way it maps everything else. If your rules are consistent, the dog relaxes into them. It learns the edges are solid, and it stops testing because there's no reward in testing a wall that never moves. But if your rules wobble, if the couch is off limits on weekdays, but fine on Sunday when you're feeling lazy, this dog will notice, and it will exploit every inch of that inconsistency. Let me make this concrete. You've got two people in a household. One says the dog is not allowed on the bed, ever. The other one sneaks the dog up for cuddles when the first person's at work. You think the dog is confused. It's not confused. It knows exactly who allows what and when.
It has fully mapped the difference between the two of you, and it behaves like a completely different dog depending on which one is holding the leash. That's not a training failure in the dog. That's the dog reading two different rule books and playing them both perfectly. Or the recall that works in the yard but falls apart at the park. You call, the dog looks at you, does a quick cost-benefit calculation, decides the squirrel is more interesting than you today, and just doesn't come. People say the dog is being stubborn. It's not stubborn. It ran the numbers. It learned that at the park, come is optional, because the one time it ignored you and nothing happened, that lesson stuck. And now every recall is a negotiation you're losing. Or the dog that's perfectly behaved for the trainer in class and a disaster at home. Same dog, different structure. The trainer's boundaries are clear and consistent, and the dog respects them instantly. Yours wobble, so the dog treats your requests as suggestions. The dog isn't the variable, you are. And that's a hard thing to hear, but this breed will hold up a mirror to your consistency, whether you want it to or not. Now listen closely, because here's the practical weight of this. Leadership with a German Shepherd isn't about being harsh. It has nothing to do with yelling or dominating or any of that outdated nonsense. It's about being predictable. It's about meaning what you say every single time, so the dog can trust that the world has rules and you're the one holding them steady. A shepherd with clear, fair, consistent boundaries is a calm dog. It knows its place, it knows the edges, and it can finally relax inside them. A shepherd with wobbly boundaries is an anxious dog, because it's had to appoint itself manager of a household where nobody else seems to be in charge. And a shepherd that thinks it's in charge is a heavy, stressful thing to live with. It starts making its own decisions about who comes to the door, about what's a threat, about when to sound the alarm. And now you've got a dog running security on your house, whether you asked it to or not. The daily cost is consistency. And consistency is exhausting when you're tired. It's easy to enforce the rule on a good day. It's hard to enforce it at the end of a long shift when the dog is being sweet and you just want to let the small things slide. But this breed keeps score. Every just this once is a data point. Every exception is a crack it will widen. And here's the emotional turn that reframes all of it. When people finally get consistent, they usually expect the dog to resent it. The opposite happens. The dog softens. It stops testing. It stops pacing. Because for the first time, it trusts that someone is actually holding the structure, and it doesn't have to. You can watch the relief settle over a shepherd when it finally believes you've got it handled. That's the paradox nobody tells you. The firmer and more consistent you are, the more relaxed your dog becomes. Structure isn't the opposite of love with this breed. Structure is how you love this breed. And that opens the door to the next truth, which is about something you can't see but absolutely have to manage. This intelligence comes wired to a nervous system that never fully switches off. And that puts your dog at risk of a kind of stress most owners never even think about. We talk about the smart brain like it's all upside. Here's the downside. A brain that processes everything, that notices every change, that tracks every pattern, is also a brain that can get overwhelmed, overstimulated, stuck in a loop it can't get out of. And a German Shepherd that's chronically over-aroused is a dog living in a low-grade state of stress all day long. You see it in the dog that can't settle, ever. Not the bored kind of restless, but a wired, hyper-alert quality, where the dog is up at every sound, tracking every car that passes, reacting to the neighbor's gate 2 doors down. People think this is normal shepherd behavior. Some of it is breed alertness, sure, but a lot of it is a mind that's been allowed to spin so fast for so long that it's forgotten how to downshift. Let me show you the shapes this takes. There's the dog that barks at everything. The mail carrier, the wind, a shadow, a leaf. The owner thinks the dog is protective. What's really happening is a nervous system on a hair trigger. A dog that's rehearsed the alert response so many times it fires at nothing. And every bark winds it up a little more. because barking floods the body with stress chemistry, and now the dog is chasing its own tail chemically, getting more amped with every episode. There's the dog at the window, guarding the front of the house from the couch, watching the street for hours. Looks like a job, feels productive to the dog, but it's a stress factory. Every dog that walks by is a threat the shepherd chases off by barking. And since the dog always leaves, the shepherd learns that its barking works, and it commits harder every time. That dog isn't relaxing all day, it's on shift. Guard duty it appointed itself to, and it's burning out its own nervous system doing it. And there's the overtired puppy, the one that turns into a land shark at the end of the day. The biting, the zooming, the wild-eyed craziness. New owners think it's a burst of energy. It's the opposite. It's an overstimulated brain that doesn't know how to stop. A young mind so flooded it can't find the off switch. The canine version of an exhausted toddler who's melting down but refuses to sleep. This is where the breed becomes real. Because managing a German Shepherd isn't just about giving it enough to do, it's also about teaching it how to be calm, actively, on purpose. Calm is a skill you have to build in this breed, not a state you can assume it'll drift into. A brain like this doesn't naturally power down. You have to teach it to. That means enforced rest. It means a crate or a settle spot where the dog learns that switching off is a behavior you reward, same as any other. It means not stacking stimulation on top of stimulation until the dog is a live wire. It means recognizing that a shepherd who's been over-aroused all day needs help coming down, not more excitement to burn it off. Because you can't burn off a stress response with more stress. You just deepen it. The practical cost here is counterintuitive, and it trips people up. You spend all this time learning that your dog needs stimulation, and then you find out it also needs to be taught to do nothing. Both are true. A shepherd needs a full, busy brain, and it needs the ability to shut that brain off when the day is done. Miss either half and you've got a problem. Too little stimulation, destruction. Too much with no off switch, a wired, anxious, reactive dog. And here's the emotional part, the one that lands hardest. Chronic stress wears a dog down, not just behaviorally, physically. A body soaked in stress chemistry all day is harder on the gut, harder on the immune system, harder on everything. This breed already carries real health burdens: hip dysplasia and elbow dysplasia in the joints, degenerative myelopathy that can steal the back legs in the later years, bloat, the fast and terrifying stomach emergency, a sensitive digestive system that reacts to the smallest thing, allergies, recurring ear infections. You do not want to add chronic stress on top of a body that's already fighting that many battles. There's something quietly heartbreaking about a dog that never learns to rest. A dog that's always on, always scanning, always braced for the next thing. That's not a life. That's a shift with no end. And the greatest gift you can give a mind like this isn't another job. Sometimes it's permission to finally, fully, put it down. Which brings me to the last hard truth, and it's the one that ties every other one together. This is a relationship, not a pet arrangement. And a mind this powerful will match whatever you bring to it, good or bad. Here's what all of that actually means. Everything I've told you, the learning speed, the constant watching, the creativity, the boundary testing, the sensitive nervous system, it all points to one thing. This dog is going to reflect you. It's going to become a mirror of your consistency, your calm, your effort, your attention, or the lack of all of them. A lower drive, lower intelligence dog can kind of coast. You can be an average owner and get an okay dog, because the dog isn't demanding much and isn't tracking much. A German Shepherd doesn't let you coast. It amplifies you. Put in real, thoughtful work, and this dog becomes something extraordinary. A partner. A dog that reads you, anticipates you, works with you in a way that feels almost telepathic. Neglect it, cut corners, stay inconsistent, And that same brilliant brain turns those weaknesses into problems that will run your household ragged. Let me show you both sides because they're the same dog. The shepherd that's engaged, trained, given a job and clear rules, is the dog people see and fall in love with. It walks beside you off the leash, checking in, watching your face for the next cue. It lies calmly under the table at a cafe while the world goes by, because it's learned to switch off. It greets guests politely, then settles, because it trusts you're handling the door. That's not a magic dog. That's a well-employed brain in a consistent home. Now take that exact same puppy and drop it into a chaotic, inconsistent life. No mental work, wobbly rules, nobody teaching it to rest. 2 years later, you've got a dog that lunges on the leash, barks at everything, guards the house from the window, can't be left alone, and destroys things when it's bored. People look at that dog and say it's a bad dog, a difficult breed. It's not. It's the same brilliant brain. It just got nothing to work with, so it built its own broken world out of the raw material it had. Same dog, two completely different lives. The only variable was you. That's a heavy thing to carry. And I'm not saying it to make you feel guilty. I'm saying it so you understand the weight of what you're taking on, or what you already took on. This breed hands you an enormous amount of influence over what your dog becomes. That's the responsibility. That's also the opportunity. The practical reality is that this is a years-long project, not a puppy phase you survive. The intelligence doesn't fade with age. A 12-week-old puppy needs its brain fed. So does a 2-year-old adolescent. So does an 8-year-old adult. The form of the work changes, but the need never disappears. You are signing up for a decade or more of daily engagement with a mind that will never stop needing engagement. And here's the emotional turn, the one I want you to really sit with. The people who thrive with this breed aren't the ones with the most time, or the fanciest equipment, or the perfect training background. They're the ones who show up, consistently, who understand that this dog is a relationship they tend every single day, and who find genuine joy in that instead of resentment, who look at the effort not as a burden, but as the whole point. Because when you meet a mind like this halfway, it meets you the rest of the way. And what you get back is a dog unlike any other. A dog that would follow you into anything. A dog that seems to understand you at a level that stops your breath sometimes. But you only get that dog if you're willing to be the person that dog deserves. And that's the hard truth underneath all the others. So let's talk about the other side of this. Because I've spent all this time on the cost, and you might be sitting there wondering if this breed is worth it at all. It is. It absolutely is. But now you know what worth it actually means. Here's the thing that all the difficulty is hiding. That giant, demanding, restless intelligence is also the source of everything magnificent about this breed. It's the reason a German Shepherd can learn to do almost anything a dog can do. It's the reason they guide the blind and find the lost and detect the things no human sense could ever catch. It's the reason that, when you get it right, you end up with a dog that feels less like a pet and more like a mind that chose to walk through life beside you. You can't have the brilliance without the burden. They're the same thing seen from two sides. The dog that's hard to satisfy is hard to satisfy because it's capable of so much. The dog that watches your every move watches because you are its entire world. The dog that tests your boundaries tests them because it's smart enough to understand what boundaries are. Everything that makes this breed challenging is the exact same thing that makes it extraordinary. And once you understand that, the work stops feeling like a punishment. It starts feeling like a conversation. The training sessions become the best part of your day because you get to watch this incredible brain light up when it figures something out. The scent games, the puzzles, the jobs you invent, they stop being chores and start being the thing that bonds the two of you tighter than you thought possible. Picture the version of this that goes right. It's a cold morning and you're out in the yard working on something new with your dog. And you watch the moment it clicks, that flash of understanding in its eyes, and it looks up at you with its whole body wagging like it just won something. That's a feeling most dog owners never get to have. That's a feeling reserved for people who chose a mind big enough to share it with. Picture the adult dog lying at your feet at the end of a long day, finally, genuinely relaxed, because you taught it how to rest, and it trusts you enough to let go. Picture the dog that walks beside you and checks in without being asked, that reads your mood and presses against your leg on your worst days, that stands quietly in the doorway watching over the people it loves. That's not a fantasy. That's what's on the other side of the work. The German Shepherd is not the wrong dog. Let me be clear about that. It is the wrong dog for a careless life. It is the wrong dog for someone who wants a decoration, a dog that just exists in the background and asks for nothing. It will make that person miserable, and it will be miserable itself. But for the person who's willing to show up, for the person who hears everything I've just said and thinks, yes, I want that, I'm ready for that, I want a dog I have to rise to meet. For that person, there is no better dog on the planet. None. Because a German Shepherd doesn't just live with you, it engages with you. It grows with you. It becomes, over years of shared effort, something that feels like a genuine partnership between two minds. And nothing else in the dog world quite compares to that. So don't let anyone tell you the difficulty means you shouldn't get one, or that you made a mistake if you already have one. The difficulty is the price of admission to something rare. You just have to walk in with your eyes open. You have to know what you're signing up for, so you can choose it fully, instead of getting blindsided by it 6 months in like so many people do. You're not one of those people anymore. You know now. You know that smart doesn't mean easy. You know that a tired body isn't a tired mind. You know this dog is always learning, always watching, always testing, always needing. And you know that if you meet all of that with consistency and effort and genuine engagement, it gives you back something most people never get to experience. That knowledge is power. It's the difference between a dog that falls apart and a dog that becomes the best thing that ever happened to you. If this hit home and you're ready to stop guessing and start actually feeding that brilliant mind the right way, watch my video on how to mentally exhaust a German Shepherd, where I break down the exact daily routines and games that tire out this brain far faster than any walk ever could. That's the practical answer to the truth we just talked about, and it'll change how your dog behaves within a week. And if you want more honest truths about this breed, the things the beautiful puppy photos and the polished breed descriptions leave out, subscribe. This channel's for people who chose this dog with their eyes open, people who don't want the easy version, people who want the real one. Because the German Shepherd was never the easy dog. It was always the great one. And now you know the difference. If you love German Shepherds and want to understand them better, stay with us. Watch the next video on screen now, and don't forget to subscribe to the German Shepherd channel for more training tips, behavior insights, and loyal moments with this incredible breed. See you in the next one.